Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of The Democratic View. My name is Phyllis Italiano, and I'm the hostess for a long time on this show, as a matter of fact. I just was talking about that with my guest today. Her name is Jamie Berger, and she is a gal who works at a wonderful, wonderful organization, one that we should all be very cognizant of. It's called ARF, Animal Rescue Fund. I don't see how any human being can be alive and not care about animals. And that's what your group does. Jamie, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, first of all, thank you, Phyllis, for having me on. And I'm thrilled to be here representing ARF, the Animal Rescue Fund of the Hamptons. And we're actually just right down the road from the studios here in Wainscott on Daniels Hole Road. So we're just thrilled to be here. And a little bit just about me is I've been on the East End now since the mid-90s after I graduated college.
What college?
I went to Tulane University.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I grew up on Long Island, Suffolk County, but Western Suffolk. And then after college, there were some radio stations that were actually just starting up out here. And my background was in communications, at least that's what I had studied in college. And I got the overnight shift on the weekends from midnight to 6 a.m. So they gave me my first break to hit the airwaves, and I just fell in love with it. I had had some internships down in college, worked for my college radio station, and just really loved the whole idea of radio and that connection that you didn't actually see the person, but you connected with them through their words and what they were saying.
Do you know I went to American University, I did the same thing.
Oh, there you go.
We have a station called WAMU,
which we were WTUL.
I started out on radio.
Ah, me too. Yeah, so I had done that for quite a long time as I was out here on the East End. So I had worked for the group of stations that they started in Amagansett, and I'm not sure if you remember a station called Beach Radio. It actually exists again now, but it had changed a couple formats back in the day. So I'd worked there for a while. I started again midnight to 6 a.m. and then kind of worked my way up and eventually ended up doing the morning show. Oh. So that was a lot of fun and met a lot of people in the community. And then from there I had moved to another station. I went to WBAB, which is a rock station. I think you get it out here on 95.3. And then from there I came back out east because I always had lived out here. I live in Southampton now, and I just wanted to be back in the community. And I came back to Beach Radio, and then that's when I started hosting the morning show. So that was a lot of fun. And then from there, I went to the public station, WPPB, I think it is right now.
Yes.
So I worked there for a while, and then from there, I ended up at ARF, which is an interesting switch, but
yeah.
I guess just knowing a lot of people through radio and people I've met in the community. And then when, the college, Long Island University, sold the station, that's when I had heard that there was a position open up at ARF in marketing, and I figured I would throw my hat in the ring, and I got the job.
So tell us a little bit about ARF. Tell us, because
Sure.
I mean, as a matter of fact, one time the guy next to me was chopping down trees and grinding away at the roots, and I had a little cat that I was taking care of for my daughter, and he ran away. Oh. And I went all over the neighborhood with a picture looking for him, and went to ARF, and I saw all of those wonderful animals there, and really and truly they really, I must say, how could you not love an animal?
Right.
They're so
we
sweet.
Feel that way.
They're so sweet, they're so dependent, and they look up at you with those eyes, and
Right. So we're the Animal Rescue Fund of the Hamptons. We refer to ourselves, you've heard us as ARF. We like to say ARF Hamptons because there are other organizations, so we don't want to be confused with anyone else. There are other ARFs in the country, but we are not associated with them. We are our own entity, a privately funded shelter. We are we actually like to call ourselves an adoption center for cats and dogs. So we deal with cats and dogs. The Southampton Animal Shelter in Southampton deals with some other animals, but we are strictly for cats and dogs. On occasion, we've had a bunny come through, but we don't want to publicize that. So we're an adoption center for cats and dogs, and at any given time we have about 100 to 150 animals on the premises.
Wow.
Yeah, so some of them available for adoption, some of them waiting to be adopted to be cleared medically for adoption, and also some that might be in medical waiting to see the veterinarians to be cleared, or maybe just even caring for them while maybe an upper respiratory infection gets, cleared up or something like that.
So an early case of coronavirus. So tell me something. When you have these animals, how does one go through the process of adopting one?
Sure. Well, actually, these days with the web, everything's on our website. We have a whole list of requirements that you would need to fulfill in order to adopt an animal. We have an application online as well. But really, we welcome visitors all the time. The best bet is to come by or take a look, view our pets on our website, which is arfhamptons.org. You can see all the animals there waiting for adoption. And it gives you a sense if there's someone that might catch your eye, but we still always, welcome you to come by. And what you do is maybe find someone that you were interested in meeting, and then you'd come in, you'd fill out an application, and then we'd let you sit with the animal or talk to our adoption coordinators to find out if that really is the best animal for you. Do you rent or own your apartment? If you rent, you'd have to get approval from your landlord because we want to make sure that they're okay with you having. Do you have a fenced-in yard? Depending if it's a dog that maybe can sometimes get away, we want to make sure that animal's safe. We'll ask you a bunch of different questions. Also, if you have any other animals at home, we usually check with your vet to make sure they're up on vaccinations. And certain cats and dogs get along well with other dogs or other cats, so we'd need to know if they're animals. And children, depending on what it is, some dogs like kids, some dogs don't like kids. They all have their, different personalities. So we do our best to really evaluate them and see where they do best in what kind of home. And
so
make
you try
that
to
right
match.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we talk about,
Yeah.
making that perfect match. And if you come in looking maybe for a kitten, we might sit you down and say, okay, you want a kitten, but let's talk about that. The life of a kitten is could be 20 years. Let's talk about the plan, who's caring for the cat, their expenses involved. We do have adoption fees, but animals do need to go to the vet, they need to be vaccinated, so there's definitely a conversation that needs to be had. But
Yes.
again, all this information is online, and just to again make sure it's the best home for the animal and that it works out, because we want to
my
make sure
first
that
cat, when my children were little, lived to be 24 years old.
It's a commitment.
Siamese.
It's a
Siamese
commitment.
cat who made the biggest meow you ever heard in your life. But
Yeah, and those are things that you have to think about. I mean, when you think about adopting a pet, it's a commitment. And it's, if it's a dog, the dog needs to be walked, multiple times a day. If it's a cat, it needs to be fed. It needs to have its litter box changed, all those things. If you go away on vacation, who's watching your animal? These are all things that have to be considered. So some people, we want to make sure.
It's actually worse than marriage. It's that kind of a commitment.
Well, there's nothing like it. You know that, and I know
do.
that. The love
I
of
do.
an animal. So, and there are just so many homeless animals in this country that we always really hope that,
isn't that awful?
our community and people in this country will consider pet adoption before maybe buying an animal. That's what we really hope, to just get the word out there about just how many animals need homes. And you can find a fabulous companion pet at a shelter, wherever you may be, whether you're in East Hampton and you come to visit ARF or you're somewhere else in the country. So that,
Yeah,
again, is
it's
something
true.
to just bring
It's
awareness to, because I didn't realize, this is a lot that I've learned starting to work at ARF. I was one of those people in my 20s, I wanted a pet. I bought my dog at a pet store, which now we've come to find the connection between pet stores and puppy mills, which puppy mills, if you're not familiar with, is a large breeding facility where, there's not very good conditions there, very inhumane. It's really, the animals are bred to make money and sell their puppies. So, as a 20-something out of college, I said, I want a pet. I had no idea. I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved my first dog. And when he passed and I came to work for ARF, he was still alive. And when I was at ARF, when we had our first puppy mill rescue that came in, and I saw these breeder dogs that were saved and, now safe, I just, the emotion that I felt that my dog had been a part of that, or at least his parents were a part of that, because he had come to the pet store. So it was just very eye-opening. So, there are people that are very passionate about the puppy mill issue right now, and there's actually a bill being proposed that to maybe stop the sale of dogs, cats, and rabbits in pet stores right now, but that's being decided. So
Is that, you mean with New York State?
Yes, yes, there's something right
Oh,
now being
good.
considered. So you can reach out to your local congressman. I know Fred Thiel has been involved in that, and also I think Ken Laval. So you can write a letter saying that you're in support of it.
I certainly will, because I am in support of that kind of thing, because I know that, for instance, I have one of my daughters who's a teacher in Southampton stops and feeds a whole bunch of cats
Yes.
that are living
Feral
around.
cats, which brings up a whole nother program that ARF has. It's called our Operation Cat program, where
I
it's
know.
exactly that, where we spay and neuter the feral cats in our area. And we actually like to call them community cats. We don't like to call them feral cats, because
Right.
there are some people that says, well, why? Because they live amongst us and we need to care for them. And if you spay and neuter them, which we've been doing, I think the program started in 1997. We've done over 20,000, I think it's about 27,000 cats that's come through the program. So if we can get to the cats and spay and neuter them, you will see less kittens. And if we can get to the kittens early enough and socialize them, then those are the kittens you will see at ARF that we will adopt. So,
That is really...
yeah, and actually just the other day we did 50 cats in one day. And then the week before that we did another 50. So kitten season is upon us in the spring, so we're trying our best to get on top of that. So it's actually a service. It's volunteer-based. We run the program, but volunteers trap, bring them to us, and then they maintain the colonies by feeding them. And if they were to see that an animal might, not be in the best condition, we can have them trap that animal and then bring them in, and the vet will take a look. And we vaccinate them and then put them back in their colonies. And then over time, you do slowly live their lives. And then, you do see the population go down. So it's something that is a service to the community. arfhamptons.org. Operation Cat is the program. They can take a look. And if you need some help in your area, if you might see some cats that you're not sure if they have a home, and a good way to notice is I think it's the left ear is notched.
Yeah.
You can see from a
Tipped.
distance.
It's tipped.
Okay, so it won't have a point. It'll be usually pretty straight. So that's for a distance, because sometimes you can't get too close to these cats. So from a distance, you can take a look and say, hey, that cat went through the program. So you'll know you won't have to.
And they're all spayed and neutered,
Exactly.
so that eventually...
Exactly. That's what that tip will
Yes,
mean.
the colony
so that they
will
won't
be
be
diminished.
Exactly. And over time, we've really seen a drastic, reduction in kittens. And, it's still a process, but we're working hard to take that on. And the program runs from Brookhaven Town all the way out to Montauk.
Wonderful.
So, but it keeps us busy. But again, it's volunteer-based, so we do ask that the community, like I said, if there's cats that you see in your neighborhood, definitely take a look or get in touch, and we'll make sure, that if we're aware of these animals and if they've come through the program.
So now you work for ARF.
I do.
Now, I am sure that there are probably a lot of volunteers at ARF.
Yes. Actually, we couldn't do what we do without volunteers. It's a very important part. I mean, everything from dog walking to cat socialization to bottle feeding some of these baby kittens that might come in through the Operation Cat program. So to the whole different fundraising events, there's, some office work, there are many different opportunities. We also, which is a whole nother show, maybe talk about our thrift shop, which is in Sagaponic, which is right, down the road also.
Oh, yes.
Exactly. So
I've been there.
okay, it's a great shop. So that shop actually helps support what we do at the adoption center. The shop takes donations from people, whether you're moving or maybe redecorating, something you're not using anymore, clothing, furniture. I mean, they've got some great stuff in there. So they donate it to the shop, and it's tax deductible for the person who donates, and then we turn around and sell it, and the money that we make through the shop helps to support what we do at the adoption center. So the thrift shop's right on Montauk Highway, on the corner of Poxabog Lane. You'll see the big sign, and open every day from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And Sundays, I believe it's 12 to 4. But again, take a look in there. There's some great stuff. And again, you're helping the cause. Maybe you can't have a pet at home, but you can consider donating to the shop or buying some merchandise from there.
I'm going to go there on my way home today.
Okay, take a look.
Because, gee whiz.
They get fabulous stuff in there, really great stuff. I actually go in each week because I handle the website for ARF, so I'm going in to take pictures, and every time I'm in there, I'm like, wow, I can't believe what you have in here. It's fabulous stuff. Definitely worth a look.
Okay, you got it. I'm going to...
And the thrift shop also takes volunteers. Like you were saying, there's so many different ways to help out what we do, but we have a real dedicated group of people that come day in and day out and help work with our animals. Again, whether you're working with the cats or working with the dogs, or helping out maybe with some office work, or even some events, our fundraising events, or offsite adoption events. There are different ways to get involved, and there's nothing like it in terms of rewarding work, you know.
You know, once I had a cat that ran away, and the guy next door to me was cutting down trees and grinding their roots. And the cat was outdoor cat most of the time, and of course in the wintertime. And he ran away, an orange boy.
Oh.
And I went all over the neighborhood looking for him, and finally also went to Arf and said, I'm going to try Arf, you know. And
Yeah.
sure enough, I saw those cats there. I could have walked off with 10 cats, you know. It was just so. They were so
lost
beautiful.
pets are a big thing out here or anywhere. So all animals that are in our facility get microchipped, which if you're not familiar, it's a tiny little piece almost of rice that gets planted in the back of the neck, and it's really instrumental in helping to reunite families with their pet if they were to get away, which happens. Look, you know, a dog can get out of, you know, a hole in the fence, or, you know, get between your feet and get out. The same with a cat. We've had many people contact us, you know, very concerned about a lost pet, and microchips will help, because if an animal does come into the shelter, the first thing we will do is scan them to see if there's a microchip, and the chip either will come back to ARF or to the owner, and then it's the best way to reunite an animal with
What
their
does the
owner.
chip say that helps
It's
you?
a number.
Oh, it's
So
a
it's a
number.
number that's registered, and, you know, it's a service, but it helps to reunite lost pets with. So it's something that, and I'm sure the vet services also out here, all the vets probably have scanners that they can, you know, so a number will pop up, and then you can find, hopefully, the animal's way back home.
Yeah, that's very, very important for us, because we don't want to lose our pets. I tell you
No.
the truth, it's so hard if a pet even dies in your life
Yes.
that it breaks you. I mean, it really just,
Yeah,
so
there's nothing
difficult.
like it. It's
you don't
It's very
realize
hard.
how much you are emotionally involved with that animal. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's a huge loss, but we know what we get from them, and, you know,
Yeah.
people do it over and over again.
Well, that's what you do when you do lose one.
It's
the
worth
best,
it.
Best thing to do is go to off to get another one, because
That's true. And everyone has their own way of mourning. You know, some people can't, you know, it's the next day they're in just because they can't handle the void or the emptiness. And then there are people that, you know, a couple years, you know, just depends. We always tell people, when you're ready, come visit us, you know, whether that's, you know, a few days or a few years.
So do you have more cats than dogs, or dogs and cats? Which is the
Things have changed over the years. From what I know in the history, I mean, cats used to be the bigger pet that was adopted out, but that's since changed, and now it's dogs. But I would say we probably adopt out more dogs, but still plenty of cats. It depends on your lifestyle, of what kind of animal works best for you. Cats are more independent. Dogs need a little more attention in terms of being walked, and, you know, but if you've had cats, so you know, some
I've
of them
had
want the
dogs, too.
affection, and some of them are like, I'm good. You know, they do their own thing. So it really depends on each animal. So, but we had mentioned the start of ARF back
Yes.
it started early 70s. I believe ARF was incorporated in 1974. There were 3 women in the community that, being such a summer resort town, animals got left behind.
Isn't that unbelievable?
And these 3 fabulous women were they couldn't, you know, they just were like, we're not going to have this happen anymore. And they started the organization, which has now since grown. So it was very grassroots back in the day. I think it started in one of their garages. And now we're a facility on 22 acres in Wainscott, down the road on Daniels Hole Road.
Yeah, and quite a nice little facility, I might add.
Yeah. I mean,
it's-
we've had a couple expansions, you know, we're growing. We've had our number of animals come through the door over the years have, you know, increased, which is great. The more lives we can save, the more animals we can adopt, you know, to help the problem in the country. There are millions of homeless animals in the country, so we're just, you know, doing our part. But there are a lot of rescue organizations and shelters, and we're all working together to hopefully, you know, if we could be out of business one day, I would say that's a good thing, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
I hate hearing that there are millions of animals
Yeah.
that are homeless. That's
Yeah.
terrible.
I know, isn't it? So that's why we say, if you're thinking about getting a pet, we really hope that you'll consider your local shelter first. And, we welcome anyone to come visit. We are open 7 days a week. I believe we're closed 2 days. It's, maybe 3. Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's are the 3 days that we're closed. But other than that, we are open for business, and we welcome visitors, whether or not you just want to come and maybe spend some time with an animal, or if you're seriously, considering adoption. So stop in and see us. And a lot of information, again, on our website, arfhamptons.org.
And where do you get the funds to employ people or to keep up and maintain the...
Fundraising, the generosity of the public, whether you're just going online and donating, or maybe we have some of our OpCat volunteers that, we help them with some animals that they might make a donation. We have fundraising events over the summer and fall. We have 3 major fundraising events. We have our designer show house, which happens at the ARF Thrift and Treasure Shop over Memorial Day weekend. We have our big summer gala, which is a big party at the Adoption Center in August. That'll be August 15th this year. And then we have our annual dog walk in October at Mulford Farm in East Hampton.
So where is the big party?
Usually at the Adoption Center. We do it right on the grounds. We've tented it. But this summer, there might be a change of venue just because of some construction that might be going on. So, but that will be announced soon. So,
okay.
But we raise the money that we need. We have a great board of directors that help us do what we do. We sell sponsorship for events. We have, like I said, the dog walk is a fundraising campaign where it's peer-to-peer, where you might say, hey, I'm walking in the ARF dog walk. Support me as I, raise money for them. So you might ask your friends and family. And then different appeals that we'll send out throughout the year, grants. So there's many different ways that we try to raise money, but it comes from the generosity of people.
Who do you apply to a grant for?
Oh, different foundations. Petco and PetSmart have their own charity foundations. There are other philanthropic people that have charity foundations that they donate to. So, everywhere we can, we're asking and hope that you'll consider making a donation. So, and again, that can happen online. You can, now everything's online, so you can make a donation very easily, secure and safe at arfhamptons.org. You can write a check. You can stop in, see the facility, whatever works for you.
Okay, give that again.
The website?
Yes.
It's arfhamptons.org. So it's ARF Hamptons with an S on the end, .org.
And that's where you would be able to...
You can make a donation online. You can view our pets. You can see all the different programs and services that we have available. We also have a mobile adoption van. I don't know if you've ever seen it on the road.
I have. Not only have I seen it at that King Cullen shopping center, and I have stopped and looked, as a matter of fact, and
that has been great for us. We've had that I think it's about 8 years now. And it's really helped us increase our numbers because, there's somewhat of a stigma attached to a shelter. People say, don't want to come. It's going to be too sad. I want to take them all home. But if you've ever been to ARF, we really pride ourselves on being a happy place. Place that, animals are lucky to be at until they wait. We care for them as their own until they find their forever families. But the mobile adoption unit helps us go out on the road. So if someone's, a little concerned about coming to the shelter, don't think emotionally they can handle it. We like to say we bring the adoptions to you. So that, when you're out and about, you can be going to your local, pet store to maybe pick up some food, and we might be there with the van, and you can come on, take a look at the animals we have for adoption, and we have a schedule online, so you can see where we're going to be, and we travel all over Long Island, different pet fairs and things of that sort. So each weekend, usually we're somewhere else. Except for possibly this weekend, because our transport rescue team is going down to South Carolina to pick up a transport of about 30 dogs that we'll be bringing north to hopefully find their forever homes.
And where do those dogs come from?
We have rescue partners in different parts of the area, and this is actually from South Carolina that we'll be going, and we have a partner down there that, again, down south, spaying and neutering is something that they're not regularly doing, so there are, dogs on the street, abuse situations, whatever it may be. I mean, we do our work in our own backyard, but we're also able to go wherever there's a need, we try to do our part. So this weekend we'll be in South Carolina.
Well, all I have to say is that thank God you guys exist, because there is nothing that I care more about. Well, no, that's not really true, because I care about everything, because I'm a bit of a nut. But I must say, I do care so much for animals. They are so I mean, human beings, you know, they ain't
Yeah.
the best thing in the world. But animals,
Yeah, there's nothing like it.
they're innocent.
That's
they're
very
just
true.
innocent, and you
It's
look in their eyes.
you know, coming from the background that I have, it's when you get up in the morning and you know you're going to work to help these precious creatures, you know, it gets you out of bed. Excuse me.
You know what? I say the same thing about teaching.
That's true.
When I put my feet on the ground, I always used to say, kids, you know, because I loved being
Very
with them.
important job.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I must say, you do have a very important job, and I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to bring you on here, because I bumped into you one time.
That's true. I think I was here for something else. So.
And I saw you, and I said, gee, I'd like to interview you at some point, because I do appreciate the work
Sorry,
that
Phyllis.
you guys do. It's very, very important. So
Yeah, so again, we have so many more programs, like I can go on for quite a while. We have dog training programs that will be starting up in the spring.
I think, as a matter of fact, my daughter's dog went to one of your dog trainings.
So Matthew Posnick probably helped her. He's helped a lot of people in the
yes,
community.
I know, recognize the name, as a
Yeah.
matter of fact. Yeah, so that little dog that jumps on me every time I walk in the house and licks my face came from your place. Well,
Oh, we
thank you
like to
so
hear
much
that.
for the work you do, I must say.
Oh, Phyllis, thank you for having me on.
Oh, it was
Again,
a
more
pleasure.
information at orfhamptons.org.
Did you get that, folks? orfhampton.org. That's Hamptons with an S.
Yes.
So don't forget, go on that website, take a look at some of those animals. You might want to get one from there. It's the best place to get one, because you know, that animal that you're going to get has been well taken care of and is in good shape. Thanks so much for coming, Jamie. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Phyllis.
Okay.